All right, a little bit more on this shockingly huge number. Maybe not so much of a shock. People are outraged, irate like never before, triggered by that phony verdict in that phony case. The whole damn thing stupid and a waste of time. But silver lining, Hillary Clinton couldn't dream of anything like this. Back in 2016, they were raving about her fundraising, raving. And as the campaign wound down, the last days of the campaign, this was from CNN, Hillary Clinton will headline her 371st and final fundraiser of the campaign Tuesday in Miami, according to a Clinton aide. Again, this is 2016. And how much money after 371 visits? $330 million. All right. Now, I don't think Donald Trump visited anything, quite frankly, other than his golf course since Thursday. And look at that haul, $200 million. This is, they're scared, they're nervous, and they're full of regret right now. And they should be. They did a horrible, horrible thing. And yeah, this did come from the Biden White House. Do not believe the fake news. They're actually, I think, intentionally ignoring the evidence, or I don't know, maybe they're just dumb.
To be clear, this is a local case with zero evidence that Biden orchestrated these prosecutions.
There's no evidence whatsoever that the district attorney in Manhattan has any relationship with the Biden administration.
This is brought by a local prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, who doesn't respond to the federal government. He doesn't answer to President Biden. He has nothing to do with the Biden administration other than the fact that he is a Democrat.
Wasn't there a time when these guys kind of used their common sense and their savvy? They just didn't accept something, an official statement that somebody told them, right? When did they lose all their kind of street smarts? That's it. Media people don't have street smarts. Wow. Because the White House has been coordinating all this stuff. And we know that. We know that Fani Willis went to the White House numerous times. She's running that fake case in Atlanta. How many times did she go there? 3 visits. Letitia James, she went to the White House multiple times. 4 visits, all right? They weren't going to talk about, well, what else would they be talking about? Nathan Wade. Yeah, Fani's lover. 3 visits to the White House. Now, Alvin Bragg. Now, there is no record of Alvin Bragg visiting the White House, but he didn't have to, because the White House visited Alvin Bragg. They sent one of their top people to go work for him, a guy named Matthew Colangelo. And Matthew Colangelo was the Associate Attorney General. It sounds like there are a lot of Associate Attorney Generals. They're not. He's the 3rd highest ranking guy in the Department of Justice. There he is, all the way at the top. And he certainly talks like he's pretty darn close to the Attorney General, Garland, and Joe Biden.
On behalf of Attorney General Merrick Garland, let me say that the Department of Justice and the Environmental Protection Agency are excited to co-host this event together. The only thing better would be to be with you in person. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that next year.
Well, he wasn't able to make it next year because he was working for Alvin Bragg about a year later. This guy had that sweet job, top of the Justice Department. And yeah, this is the part. He mentions Joe Biden. He's speaking. He knows Joe Biden.
President Biden and Attorney General Garland understand that the brunt of the harm caused by pollution and climate change is often borne by communities of color and low-income communities. Within his very first week on the job, President Biden directed all federal agencies to develop programs and policies to address the disproportionately high and adverse health, environmental, climate-related, and other cumulative impacts on communities.
All right, what a wokester, huh? Environmental racism and all that stuff. So this was the guy who made the opening arguments in the case against Trump right here in Manhattan. And he's the guy celebrating the victory right behind Alvin Bragg. That's the guy. Listen.
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to thank the jury for its service. Jurors perform a fundamental civic duty.
Yeah, whatever.
Their service.
The most important part about this sequence here is Matt Colangelo standing right behind Alvin Bragg. And it was brought up by our new friend. Have you heard about this guy? Will Scharf. He is a top lawyer for President Trump as he goes through his legal issues. And he was on the George Stephanopoulos show. And man, his mastery and integrity just comes through, and George's swampiness comes through as well.
Remember, this case in New York, it was called the zombie case. It sat and sat and sat. It could have been brought at any point after 2020. And then suddenly, when President Trump announced his campaign for president, it was dusted off, rushed in front of a grand jury, and then rushed into court. You want to talk about the politicization of the legal system? I mean, this is Exhibit A. It's absolutely unprecedented in American history. It's not the way that our campaigns are supposed to be run. We contest elections at the ballot box, not in the courts in this country.
That is true, but of course, we've never had a former president or a presidential candidate facing the kind of charges that the president faced because of his own activities. And of course, the Attorney General in Manhattan has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. Finally, what do you expect from the sentencing process?
You see how George and the fake news, they sneak in these little observations, right? And then they get to the question. First of all, these are allegations still against President Trump. And you don't want to talk about stuff that his boss had to deal with. His boss, George Stephanopoulos, because before he became George Stephanopoulos, was George Stephanopoulos of the swamp, right? Remember? He showed up, he was like 20 years old or something like that. And he was the ruthless spokesman for Bill Clinton. Got axed from that job, actually, pretty early in the administration. Even Bill Clinton had a problem with this guy. But he wrote a book, and he actually bragged about how he handled the bimbos. He used the word bimbos. Women would come forward with allegations against Bill Clinton, and they were bimbos. They called them bimbo eruptions, and he was the point man on handling bimbo eruptions, huh? That's a book that he wrote as an adult man. I would never do that, and I don't think Donald Trump would ever do that either. Next, please.
I vehemently disagree that the district attorney in New York was not politically motivated here, and I vehemently disagree that President Biden and his political allies aren't up to their necks in this prosecution. I think the fact
There's
that
no
the Biden
evidence of that,
campaign was,
sir. There's no. I'm not going to let you continue to say that. There's just zero evidence of that.
Well, how about the fact
in
that
Manhattan
Matthew
is
Colangelo was standing over Alvin Bragg's shoulder when he announced this verdict? I mean, Colangelo was the #3 official in the Biden Department of Justice who suddenly disappears and shows up as an assistant district attorney right as Trump's case in New York starts to proceed.
After
you want to talk about political you want to talk about political coordination?
This has nothing
George,
to do.
right
This
there
has
in front
nothing
of
to
you.
do. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with President Biden. Do you want to answer the question about the sentencing process or not?
The disrespect. He can't handle it. He can't handle this guy, George. Matt Colangelo, can we see that video again? Was right behind the former #3 guy of the Biden Justice Department is there. Why? Nobody takes a job like that. Nobody takes a demotion like that. He is on a mission. He is the point man on all of this. One more from the George and Will exchange.
I completely disagree that this has nothing to do with President Biden. With respect to sentencing, as I said before, we're going to vigorously challenge this case on appeal. I don't think President Trump is going to end up being subject to any sentence whatsoever, and we look forward to getting this case into the next court and taking this again all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary to vindicate President Trump's rights.
Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for your time this morning. Thank you, Will Scharf, candidate for Missouri Attorney General, lead or one of the lead lawyers on the Trump Defense Appellate Division, whatever. No respect whatsoever. Well, I don't have any respect for George Stephanopoulos. Somebody who partied with Jeffrey Epstein, oh yeah, after he was convicted of all that stuff, he did it. He did it. He claimed he didn't know. I knew. How come he didn't? I think he knew and went anyway. I'll have more on that later in the week. We'll be right back.